Hey, everybody, I'm Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WVLS. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for checking it out. And welcome to Open. We've got a fantastic show lined up for you. In fact, coming up on today's show, we'll speak to an author and a retired U.S. Air Force engineer about fatherhood and financial freedom. Then we'll hear from a musician, an entrepreneur, about his latest single and collaborative projects he's been working on. And we'll be joined by a former broadcast radio professional and writer who will speak about her most recent books on race and so much more. Then we'll sit down to speak with an artist, director, and producer who will shine a light on the work that he's doing in his brand new film. We've got it all for you. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. We're wide open. Here we go. There you go. I'm your host, Dr. Bob Lee, and you're watching Open. It's that live interactive program that brings the Bronx, New York City, straight to your TV set. You can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Leading things off, our first guest is an engineer for the U.S. Air Force. He's retired now. He's going to be talking about every day being Saturday. He joins us from Dayton, Ohio, to speak about fatherhood and finances with the release of his two books, with A Father's Love and Financial Freedom. Doing nothing is an option. So please welcome to the show the doctor. Doctor's in the house, Dr. Edmund H. Doc, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, Dr. Bob.
So how does it feel to be retired?
Oh, I've been retired for 10 days. It feels great.
10 days and counting. You know, I have some friends that retired and they said, hey, Bob, every day is Saturday.
I wouldn't say every day is Saturday, but my friends on the golf course always said that they wish they had retired sooner.
Well, you can show them the way, that's for sure. Listen, talk about some of the things that you've been doing. I know you've been doing a lot in the community while you've been working. Now, before you get into the community thing, you retired from the Air Force?
Yes, retired from the Air Force after over 32 years.
Yeah.
I was a materials science and manufacturing engineer and worked in the area of turbine engines.
Turbine engines. Now, of course, you were building engines for jets and tanks and things of that nature?
Turbines are in jets, they're in tanks, they're in Navy ships, and commercially, they are used in the energy field.
Yeah. Any secrets you can tell us? No, don't tell us. But tell us about all the wonderful things that, well, first of all, thank you for your service, but also you work in our community. You do a great service to our community through church and through different CBOs, community-based organizations. Tell us about that.
Oh, my home church is in Dayton, Ohio, west side of town, funk capital of the world. And that's the Mega Baptist Church, where I served as a trustee in the past and as a school teacher. I'm also a co-chair of an organization, nonprofit called Parity Inc. And used to be called Parity 2000. And our goals was to seek social economic equality in the African American community. And that didn't happen by 2000, so we changed the name to Parity Inc. But we're still fulfilling that same goal.
Yeah, and now you have more time to spend with these organizations or golf.
Definitely.
You can better your golf game.
It's improving.
So you sat back, you kicked off your shoes and relaxed your feet, and you said, you know what? I need to write a letter. And that letter turned into a book. Explain what happened.
The book, With a Father's Love, 52 weekly letters to my daughters. That book was written about the 2017 timeframe, but was based off of letters from 2014, 2015. I wrote a letter to my daughters in the midst of a divorce each week for 52 2 weeks, and I published it into that book just for them. And people heard about it at church and other places. And they said, you got to make that available to the general public. So I edited and made it into a book that was made available to the general public. And what was interesting, I thought it would be more for the teenage young ladies. It was their mothers, their fathers, and everyone to love that book.
Yeah. Of course, everybody was probably having a rough time going through the divorce. How did your daughters take it?
My daughter's one daughter, she wanted me to write more letters. Another one was she was not as transparent about what she thought about the letters at the time.
Yeah. But now they love them. They have something they can cherish forever.
Right. Yeah.
Something they can show their grandchildren or your grandchildren, their children. Yeah.
And remember, I wrote that I published a book just for them. So that book on the bookshelf is not for sale.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's a special edition.
Right.
Yeah. And then you went on to write another book. Tell us about that book. Financial Freedom, Doing Nothing is an Option.
Yeah, it's the second book I was writing with my best man, the late Richard LaPierre Sr. And he died in the early stages of writing the book.
Mm-hmm.
And after about 6 months, friends and family said, you got to finish the book. So I did finish the book, Financial Freedom, Doing Nothing is an Option. And I will say that doing nothing is an option is a tagline to get one's attention, because if you do nothing, you will not attain financial freedom.
Yeah. There's some quotes out there that make reference to that. Sit back and do nothing, nothing will happen.
Correct. And that is the natural thing that most of us do in life, is we just don't do anything to move forward. A lot of us.
And I always say something toward the end of the show. Whether you say you can or you can't, either way, you're right. So say you can, and you will.
Mm-hmm.
You can. I can.
Right.
So in that second book, we're talking about financial literacy. Talk about how that book came about.
The book came about. We were talking about how we could write a book together, what we write it on, and that financial freedom was the topic. He was an educator, and we wanted to put together something that was simple, that was easy to understand, that anyone could grasp. And so, although the book is short, it's straightforward, and anyone who reads it should, if you have a sixth grade education, you should be able to read and understand it.
And what will people learn? What will they take away from that book?
First thing they'll take away from it, they'll have a definition of what financial freedom is, and they will have a definition of what generational wealth is.
Yeah.
Because that's your goal. You can't seek a goal if you don't know what you're going after. The next thing they will understand is that before you can go anywhere, you need to find out where you are. So, what debts do I have? What is my income? What is my net worth? Do I need to make additional income? Do I need to cut costs? How do I get my financial house in order? The other thing you need to do is, once you do that, then you need to start putting in strategies in place, savings and investing, such that you can attain generational wealth. And that includes, you can buy property, that type of thing, so rental property and other means. And you also need to bring in some financial professionals in to help you out, because no one knows everything. And sometimes you need an accountability partner too to help you out as well.
And be careful of who you get, because there are a lot of people out there that will just try to take your money. How do you go about choosing the right person? How do you know that person is the right one for you?
Well, the first thing is you have to educate yourself about the basics of finance. You need to write out what your expenses are, what you need to survive off of, what you need in the future as far as rainy day funds. And once you do that, then you can go out and seek financial professionals to help you.
Yeah.
But if you don't have any background, anyone can take advantage of you.
Yeah.
That happens to a lot of professional athletes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to refer to. Abdul-Jabbar, his money went south somewhere. Well, I'm just saying south, but south is a good thing, depending on what you're talking about. But and then MC Hammer, Holyfield, a lot of those
Dennis
guys were
Rodman.
living while they were making all of that money. They were able to pay for all those things that they wanted. But then when the money stopped, you still have those huge expenses. Like Holyfield was paying $100,000 to cut his grass. I'm just saying grass, but to do the lawn and all that stuff.
One of my classmates, when I was getting my master's degree in management, she actually worked for MC Hammer. And she told me he was a nice guy and how people took advantage of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll bring him up. That's my cousin. He's a bro. But yeah, and a lot of people get, they get taken and they just got to bump things down a little bit. What is the first step to building generational wealth?
Again, the first steps is you cannot achieve generational wealth unless you have achieved financial freedom yourself. So if you're still in debt and you're living paycheck to paycheck, there's no generational wealth to pass on. So that's the first step. Yeah. Secure your own household and start building wealth, and then put the tools in place to guarantee that your wealth continues or it grows. So you need to do simple things like wills. I say that everyone, once a person reaches 18, they should do two things. You should register to vote, and you should write your first will. Yeah. Even though it could be a simple will, but that should get you into the practice. But then you need the powers of attorneys, the wills, the trust, and those type of things to secure your assets. For my daughter's education, I put in 529 plans. So right now, that's what's funding education. I'm not worried about I need to go out and make additional money to fund my kids' education.
Yeah, that's what everybody else does. So when you get out of college, you won't be broke from borrowing so much money and having to pay back so much. All those
and it avoids that as well. Yeah. Right. I don't want them racketing debt, having to pay back bills for college like a lot of people are doing today.
Yeah, yeah. And it happens, but then you have to try to get rid of that debt so you can begin building generational wealth. What took place in your life that you thought that you had to write a book like this and straighten out your life so that you can encourage others to do the same?
One of the things I would say, one of the impetus for this was both of my parents died. And it took my brother probably a couple of years to find out what accounts they had and all this kind of thing. The will was straightforward, but it was all the different accounts that we didn't know about. Because, once your parents get dementia, that kind of thing, they can't tell you anything else. And they didn't tell you, you don't know.
Yeah.
My parents have been dead since I think about 2017, I think it was. And I just got an annuity from my dad in the 2 months ago.
Yeah. Wow.
This came out of the blue. Didn't know about it.
Didn't know about it. Listen, you're a wealth of information too, and a lot of people need to read your books. They can get your books on Amazon. Is there a website they can go to get more information on what you're doing?
People can just Google EdmundHMoore.com. That's EdmundHMoore.com. And that information should come up as far as where the books are available on Amazon, Target, Barnes and Nobles, and other locations.
There you go. Hey, thank you for joining us, and you're welcome to come back.
I look forward to it. Thank you, and have a blessed day.
All right. The doctor was in the house, Dr. Edmund H. Moore. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your service. All right. We'll take a break right here. I've got more open coming up next. So keep the shoes off. Kick off the shoes and relax your feet. We're in there. We're open.
I'll see ya.
After a basketball game, a black teenage boy, Brandon, reads his texts in his family group chat. Auntie Flo, congrats on the big win. Mom, that's my baby. Brandon replies, thanks y'all. In a park, his sister Maya texts, where are we celebrating? Dad replies, home. Mom texts, I got dinner going. Auntie Flo replies, ooh, I can't wait, then receives a FEMA flood watch text alert. She texts the family, anyone see that weather alert? We need a plan to stay safe, especially after last year. Ready has a list of resources at ready.gov/plan. In his workshop, Dad sends a photo of emergency supplies and texts, looks like we need flashlights and batteries. Leaving a store with a shopping bag, Brandon replies, I got us covered. Mom texts, I'll check in with Grandma and Papa. Maya texts, thanks Auntie, feeling good about this plan.
I got some batteries and 2 flashlights.
What's up, champ? I feel like you get taller every time I see you.
Stay connected.
Congratulations, Brandon.
Where did the time go? Somehow I lost all those years. Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here. Oh, how did I get here? I can see now.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
And welcome back. I'm the Doc Bob Lee, and the beat goes on and on and on until the break of dawn. Our next guest is a former high school all-state athlete, a California resident, music rap artist, and entrepreneur and CEO of McClendon Global. Yeah, the enterprise. He started the enterprises. He joins us to speak about his passion for music and to share his latest singles. Please welcome to the show, Mich. Mike, welcome.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Bob. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. How have you been, man?
Man, I've been terrific. I'm just so excited to be here. First of all, I want to say I'm a true fan of you, of what you do in the community. And, I do my research on the history, with the juice crew and the vans, and you put the promotional vans together and rocking with Marley Marl and the Juice Crew and Curtis Blow. It's a pleasure to be here, Doctor.
Oh man, what you know about the Juice Crew? Mr. Magic is the one who came up with the name of Juice Crew, and it was a Juice Crew before the original Juice Crew.
Right. Well, I kind of snuck into the old, like some of the archives of your early works, and because I'm an old school head and pioneer. I love music, and when I found that out, it was just what you were doing in the community for radio was unheard of. You were like the beginning of Instagram or Facebook, that type of thing, taking the risks and going out there. And believe it or not, in '94, I moved to New York on an internship to Island Records, and it eventually spun into radio syndication for many years. So I'm really deep into it, Dr.
Wow. Well, we both have come through a couple of genres of music. So, out of soul music, out of disco, out of jazz, into the beginning days of cutting up the beats into hip hop, into whatever they have going on now, celebrating 50 years of hip hop. And you've been all through it. I mean, if you're living today, you are part of hip hop and a part of this 50-year celebration. Tell us more about what you do and how you got into it.
Well, it's very interesting. I believe I've been with hip hop my whole life. I remember in the first grade, my best friend Willie Smith came to school singing Rapper's Delight. And I had to go home and tell my mama, I need that record. And I had to go get it. And the next day I had to learn the hip hop, the hip to the hip, the whole thing in the first grade, just so I could go to school and tell Willie Smith that I knew Rapper's Delight.
No, they also have those fashion shows in school. Did you try to jump in one of those?
Well,
not fashion shows, but like the music shows on stage.
The music shows, well, yes, actually, by the time I was in second, when I was in second grade, I started playing the clarinet and instruments. Back when children had the opportunity to be in school and play instruments, and I had an instructor who realized that I had a skill, so I learned how to play the clarinet, the bass clarinet, eventually the drums, and everything. So by the second grade, I was performing. The first time I ever performed was in the second grade, and I did "Heartbreak Hotel" by Michael Jackson.
Wow.
And I was it was a kindergarten through 8th grade Catholic school, and I won the competition. And my mom told me, "You better not get on stage today." And I was so nervous because I'd already did the audition and I had to go do it. I got on stage and my mom was there, but I went and performed and did my best and won anyway. So that was my first time of stage fright because my mama was there and told me not to perform. And I had to go ahead and do it anyway because she was there.
Everybody who's been on stage knows what the stage fright is all about.
Right. But wait, not the stage fright. You had your mama there, you can get a little bit extra if later. But it worked out. The teacher had called and said, he's performing today. And she didn't know it was that big deal of a school talent show. And I actually did Heartbreak Hotel and won it with the dancing and had a good time and stuff. And people remember it to this day.
Hey, that stage fright is no joke. I mean, it could be people afraid of a microphone.
Yeah.
They put a microphone on somebody's face, they'll freeze like.
Well, you really don't realize how much people are afraid of public speaking.
Yeah.
Maybe, for us, it maybe comes natural or maybe by some work or just getting over the fear of it. But all in all, I would say the children in school need to have a public speaking class as early as first and second grade.
And it's the fear of what you think other people are thinking about you.
Right.
And not being prepared. If you're not prepared, of course, the fear is going to be all over you. But if you're prepared and you're thinking about that on the way out, on the way out onto the stage to grab that mic, you already know. I mean, you're going to feel something, but first few words or the first few something of what you're going to do is going to, because you know where you're going. You have a blueprint. You know, Frankie Crocker always came up with the 3-function radio. You listening? All right, the beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 3-function radio. What you're gonna do on the radio? Hey, you're gonna open it up. You know what station you came from. You know your name. I'm Dr. Bob Lee, 107.5 WBLS. That was Mariah Carey. By the way, Mariah Carey, or whatever you're gonna talk about in the middle. That's your middle, and then you got to come out of it. Yeah. Here's Stephanie Mills of 107.5 WBLS. So you got your 3 functions, and that's with everything that you want to do in life.
Yes.
Everything has that beginning, middle, and end. You wake up in the morning, you do your thing in the afternoon, you go to sleep at night, or whatever, 3-function radio.
That's absolutely, and you know what? That it takes great practice, and if you're a student of Dr. Bob Lee, then you should know exactly how to smooth it out.
But we ain't talking about you're talking about me like you interviewing me, but I want to know more about you.
Most respect. Well,
I love you and I appreciate you for that, because a lot of people don't know, because I don't talk about myself like that. But I try to give information on what we've learned from other people, like greats like Frankie Crocker. Now, who are some of the people that you've come up with and that who you looked up to while you were getting ready to do your thing? Well,
I've got like a lot of different genres. I'm really lucky, God has blessed me, and I just have to acknowledge that. For musically, well, my parents, I grew up in the church, so I grew up singing in the choir. Matter of fact, Sinbad, shouts out to Sinbad. His father, Reverend Atkins, baptized me. I'm from Benton Harbor, Michigan, so my family was really big in the church. My grandmother, my grandfather, my family. So we sang in the church, and then I also played the instruments. But around 15 is when I started to get deeper into hip hop with DJing and mixing and all that things. But I'd always been an athlete. I always played baseball, basketball, football. I grew up. Matter of fact, I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan. So I grew up playing baseball with Derek Jeter in the playgrounds. DJ and I went to St. Augustine's together. And played baseball. We couldn't even be on the same team together. That's how that was. We had to be captains. And so his rookie year when he came to the Yankees, I was actually working in New York at SJS Entertainment.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Eric Faison and everybody Bentley and Doc Martin at VLS.
Yeah.
But I was working there, and that was Derek's rookie year. And I remember telling everybody, I said, look, I grew up with him. He's going to be rookie of the year. He's going to be MVP. He's going to bring many a championships. And I remember people, I think June Brody I was working for her, and she said, McClendon, you don't know Derek Jeter. And I said, yeah, I do too. So, so I wound up running out to Macy's, and it was a ridiculous line that went all the way across the street, 33rd Street, 34th Street, up and down, all the way up to Macy's. And I went up there just to get a glimpse of that. And I never forget the security guard came over and says, if you want the autograph, you got to go all the way to the end of the line. And I said, I don't want the autograph, sir. I just want to watch my homeboy. This is beautiful. I grew up with him. And he turned around and he pointed at me with his little security guard. And Derek saw me over there. And he looked and he waved and he brought me on stage.
Yeah. That's how you do that.
I sat up there with DJ his first year, just signing autographs for like 3 hours straight, man. And just to see all of that joy in those people's face, and and Derek, he's a champion, and just man, just those type of experiences,
But that's how people are supposed to treat you, because some people, you do a whole lot of things for them in the business, and then they're in a situation where they're doing their thing and they look at you and act like they don't even see you.
Right. And I gave him props on that, because he didn't have to do that, you know what I mean?
No,
but he definitely did, and it was an amazing thing. And I love my experiences when I lived in New York. When I first came to Island Records, my first, Biggie, rest in peace to Big. Big gave me my rap name, Mike Michigan.
Yeah. Wow.
And around that same time, I was working at G Street and Island Records. And a brother from Detroit was working at Foot Locker. And he said, well, you need to make some money. You're doing all these internships. You got to make some money, bro. Here, bro. And so he gave me a job at the Foot Locker over there on Broadway, I think.
Yeah.
And there was like a one-way. And so my first day, I never forget, Russell Simmons came inside and he had these beads, and he just was walking and he was holding these beads. I think they were prayer beads, and he just came in and then he left. And then LL Cool J came in and he looked at a couple of shoes and then he just left. And it was a guy I was working with, Rashawn. He was like 6'9", and he was, yeah, man, I just got a basketball scholarship for the University of Connecticut, and I'm about to be up there this year balling, and he's blah, 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 blah. And the next person that walked in was Tupac Shakur.
Whoa.
And Rashawn was talking, and he saw Tupac was like, ah! And ran out the door. And I looked up, so I went up and I ran up to Tupac and I said, Tupac, how you doing, man? My name is McClendon, man. I'm from Michigan, man. I'm doing music. I'm from Island Records in G Street. How can I help you? And Pac just looked at me up and down like this, and he gave me some dappy on his bandana and his backpack and all kind of stuff, man. And he's like, you from Michigan? I was like, yeah. He's like, Kalamazoo? I was like, yeah. Pac knew about, and then all of a sudden, doctor, he just went off on me, right? He started going off but that stuff in Lansing, man, that wasn't my fault. And it took me like 20 years to figure out what he was talking about then, but he was talking about it. I had just caught up with him when he had just came from Lansing. Make us long story short, Pac wanted to buy some shoes that I had on my feet.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even know where the shoes were. I ran to the back, told Mike, hey, Mike, Tupac wants a size 10.5 in red and these Nike Cortez, and hurry. And without tripping, he just ran and got the shoes. Well, he didn't have his size. So I had to go. So as Tupac is up here signing, if you went in that Foot Locker, used to be a gigantic backboard, and everybody used to sign it and autograph it. And Tupac took his pen and he wrote it real big. Tupac, real loud over everybody's everybody, just Tupac, his name over everybody. And then I had to go tell him, man, I didn't have your shoes. And he was cool. He was like, I was like, I don't have your size. He was like, that's okay. And then the funniest thing happened, because there was credit card machines where you had to slide them back in the day. It wasn't like now, you could just tap and do all that. So he pulled out his wallet, he pulled out this credit card, threw it on the table. It didn't even move. It just said, and it was a silver American Express card Death Row Records with diamond studs on it. And the funniest thing happened, we had the Spanish girls from the Bronx was working for us, and she looked up, she said, Poppy, what I'm gonna do with this?
Beautiful.
We all
you
laughed.
met a whole lot of people, but you have a record release coming out, right? I want to play that record for you. I want to play it.
Okay.
You want to bring it and talk about it real quick, and then I'm gonna play it.
Okay. Well, the next step. Hey, this is I Can't Stress, the remix right here with Mich, West Coast Mich. I Can't Stress. You can't either. Enjoy.
Yeah. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. No. Remix. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. Can't stress right now. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right. Every time I walk, I'm an algorithm. Buddha cosmos with the street rhythm. Slide in the spaceship to the day. Everything we touch makes history. My vibe's so great, it's an energy. That's why you can't stress me. Now I'm a player with the highest degree. So let's connect and roll the family. You got the I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right.
That's what's up. All right. And what is that? You dropped it already, or you dropping it?
I dropped it. It just came up last week. It's doing fantastic right now. I'm excited about it. It's a good vibe. People like it. You know, people been calling me all over it. So I'm just excited.
Oh, shucks. We got to get a copy and see if we can send that to our program director.
Oh, man, that'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where can we go to find out more about you?
Well, I'm on social medias, Mich, Michigan. I'm on Facebook. The Pizza Delivery, the web series, is a web series film that I produced. I'm also working right now, Dr. Bob, on a podcast called I'm From the Zoo. And we were very fortunate for our first show to have Brother E. Love, a Hall of Famer from with LL Cool J, and TJ Duckett, the Michigan State running back. And also we had Kier Worthy on our second show.
Oh, shucks. All right. Good.
Yes,
I'd
sir.
like to jump on there and say what's up. Just wait.
Oh, we would love to have you on the show. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we can flip the script, right? You can ask me more about this Juice Mobile thing and all that followed.
Well, I'm certainly intrigued, Doc. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, well, first of all, I'm a hip hop fanatic fan. You know, all the way back from Soul Train and Don Cornelius. You had asked what my influences were. It would be James Brown, anything from the Soul Train, the Isley Brothers, Parliament. George Clinton is one of my favorites. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him, all the way up to the great hip hop producers now, and everyone in music and things like that. And I also wanted to say I enjoyed the last guest, Dr. Edmund. His book really looked really exciting. Yeah.
Hey man, thank you for joining us. All right, and we got to get you back there again because you've got a lot of great information that we need to share, and I want to come on your show too. Mich McClendon, music entrepreneur, CEO, Mich McClendon Global Enterprises. He's in business. Mich.
Thank you, Dr.
Mich.
Appreciate you, Doctor. Thank you. I can't wait to have you, and thank you for having me.
Yes, and we'll see more of you, all right? Looking forward to listening to more of your music, too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll take a break right here. I've got more with Mich. He's going to chill and watch the rest of the show right here on Open. Sit back, kick off your shoes, and relax your feet. We're open. Welcome back. I'm looking. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. You're watching Open. You know, our next guest is a former broadcast radio professional, actress, writer, and now author. It's a beautiful thing. She joins us to speak about her career journey and how it led to her writing books focused on race relations, and so much more. So please welcome to the show, Jeanette Jackson. Jeanette, welcome. Jeanette, how are you? Welcome to the show, my veteran, beautiful person.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bob. It's been a pleasure. My family and I are thrilled for me being on your show, and we admire you and all the work that you've done. So I thank you so much for having me on.
Let me start off by saying I want to thank you for your service. You're a U.S. Army vet, right?
Yes, I am. Thank you, sir.
All right, so you came through all of that, and then you got out of the service after about 6 years, and then you got into broadcasting right away. How did it start for you?
Well, I went into the military to get the GI Bill because my father had passed, so I can get my education.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to write. My father was a merchant seaman, and he traveled the world, and he used to bring me back slides and books of information about the different peoples of the world. So I said I wanted to learn how to write because I taught myself how to read at the age of 4 because of my interest in writing. But I didn't find, but as I traveled my course and going into broadcast journalism to get the skill, I noticed that I said, well, I want to write, but what do I write about? So I'm 75 now. So in my 20s,
no, you don't look 75. You're doing
well,
something right. You should write a book about that,
Yeah,
how to keep
thank
yourself.
you. Thank you, sir. So I was, I had all kind of questions in my mind because I went to an all-black boarding school, and they taught us so much information about our history. And it was amazing to me how many our people didn't know that history. So I began to ask questions. I said, these people had us enslaved, and they telling us to worship their God, and they're giving us this white Jesus. So I said, no, I have to find out the origin of all things.
All right. So you went to Morgan State University?
Yes, I did. That's the school of my choice. I wanted to go to Howard, but I was in the military, and it was too far a distance to travel to go back and forth to classes. So my secondary choice was Morgan. Of course, it had to be a black institution. So that's when I went. That's why I chose Morgan and broadcast journalism because I wanted to learn how to write, get my skills down for writing, but I didn't yet know what I wanted to write about. So I said, well, I need more living and learning to do before I can write to help my people. And that was my main objective. So I started studying in my 20s the history of our people, going to the beginning of time far back as we can go. And I was placed in certain positions to meet Dr. Asa Hilliard, to meet Mary McLeod Bethune, who came to the university, to the school that I was going to, because she was great friends with our president, Dr. Rena Cornelia Mallory. I met a lot of people who kind of steered me in the direction and gave me the answers of where I could find the information.
Yes.
So once I started finding the information and putting things together, I was saying, well, I can write some magazine articles. Well, then my mother got very sick, and I had to go to New Jersey to take care of her. We originally from New York, but she had moved to New Jersey. And when I went to take care of her, I laid everything on the carpet, and I said, I'm going to write some magazine articles. I'm not going to waste this time. But when I put it all together, I said, this is a book. And that's how Black Survival in White America was born. That was my first book, and that was in 1995.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yes, Morgan. Yeah. And from there, I wrote The Great Divide Between Blacks and Whites, which was a black perspective on one side of the page and white perspective on the same issue on the second side of the page. Yeah. So I took that all the way through. Then my next book, that's not the next one. So the next one, in order, well, I'll just Master Being Human you brought up. So Master Being Human is the spiritual book that I said, well, our people need to advance and need to grow. But in order for us to advance and grow, we need to fix ourselves first. So we need to spiritually grow and to get rid of the slave mentality, which was us going along with the programming that was implemented upon us from the cradle. So I said, we need to get rid of that. And we also need to get rid of everything from slavery that's embedded in our culture. And I was in my research, I found Dr. Joy DeGruy, and her presentation was one that was specific, and I have it on my website.
Yeah.
Post-traumatic slave disorder. So she mentioned the stuff that we need to remove.
Yeah.
So, and I said, well, we need to work on ourselves. So, master being human is what we need to do to work on ourselves so that we can, whatever happens on the outside of us, cannot affect what's going on inside of us. And that is not what happens on the outside of us, but how we react to it. But we have to master ourselves, and it takes a lot of work.
Yeah. I know when you said you were into the origins of things, it was sort of spiritual or metaphysical. When you talk about the origins of things, you want to go within and find out what's happening within, so that you can straighten out things that's happening on the outside.
That's correct.
So go into your subconscious world so that you can deal with things on the
right.
The
and what steered me into that direction was my investigation into Egypt, into our ancestors and Ma'at, and all of the laws and all of the different religions. I became a Buddhist for 8 years, and that kind of helped me. It did help me. And it steered me in the right direction. And then I began to read the Bible in a different way, because then I knew where the Bible came from off the hieroglyphics. So I knew that the religions as they were constructed was not constructed from God. It was constructed from people wanting to rule other people. So when I got into that, then my grandparents had 19 children. So I've seen a lot of my relatives pass away.
Yeah.
Soulful Journey, the business of beings, came to life because I wanted to know, where does the spirit go when we pass? So this is my only fiction book, because that was my journey into spiritually trying to find out, where did the soul go?
Yeah.
And it's interesting how that worked out.
And this book right here?
No. Soulful Journey, the business of beings. That's the green book.
Yeah.
But now the one you just had up, Black Just Like My Mama, is my autobiography. And I wrote that because once you live and die, and all the people who know you die, it's like you never existed. So I wanted to write about this great Black family that I came from. And I wrote about them, and I also wanted people to see my journey and my mother's journey. I started writing about me, but she took over the book. I found out I was writing more about her than me.
My mom came in and said, wait a minute, what about me?
No. This was a book I was writing on my own without her knowing, but her spirit just took over the book.
That's what I'm saying. And she said, what about me?
Yes, right. And so even though she was living a part of the time that I was writing it, but then she passed away. But the book itself is to encourage all people, no matter what you go through. And I've gone through a lot. Whatever you've gone through, no matter what it is, you have to reach deep down inside of yourself to persevere and bring yourself out of it with the God within you, connecting with the God in the universe to navigate your life. So we can navigate
that's a whole other
life.
religion now. When you
right.
do like this, God in me recognizes God in you. That's Hinduism.
Right. Well, you can look at they all lead to the same place, which is spiritual growth.
There's only one God.
That's right. Spiritual growth, no matter who you see God to be it the universe or whatever. But I never saw a white man up there. That was never in my vision. But anyway, so the book is to help others to, no matter what happens, to get through it. Yeah. And then the next book, Echoes from the Heart, Love Throws Poetry, the poetry that I've got, that my life in poetry, so to speak, and what the way I've seen things, the way I saw things. I never meant to publish Soulful Journey and Echoes from the Heart, but my niece encouraged me to go ahead and publish them because they were very personal books.
Yeah. Beautiful. So you've come on a writing journey. You've come through it. Yeah, and you bring a lot of people with you because that's why you write the book. You want people to follow you and get something out of these books that you've written. Then you went into broadcast journalism. Was that before or after writing the books?
No, that was at Morgan State. When I got out of the military, I went to Morgan State, and I went into broadcast journalism because of the fever I had and the thirst I had to learn the craft of writing.
So that helped you with writing the writing of the books.
That helped me with the technical part of the writing. What I did was I loved to read authors. Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged, I liked her descriptive ways that she described things in her book. And I said, I want to be able to describe things like this. Taylor Caldwell, you know, come from way back when they didn't have many black writers at the time. So Taylor Caldwell was the what I used as far as what I grasped as far as someone sitting across from you like they're having a conversation with you. That's what I got from her.
Yeah.
From James Baldwin, I got
Ooh.
I got the emotion. I got the stick to the point, be concise, say what you have to say, and don't hold back.
Yeah.
So I got that from James Baldwin. So and then County Cullen, and then you go to so many black writers that I studied, and I studied a lot of autobiographies and bibliography and then biographies, and I even studied the biology of our bodies, that we are different from other people, and all of this stuff is on my website.
Is all of this what's the website? Because we need an hour to talk to you about all of this stuff, and they're wrapping me up right about now. But all of this we can find on your website, right?
Yes, www.JeanetteDavis.com. That's www.JeanetteDavis.com.
Listen, come back again because we need to sit down and talk more, okay?
My pleasure. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. Jeanette Davis, author. She's got it going on. She's a journalist, too. She puts the pen to the paper also. All right, we'll take a break. I've got more on Open.
Most hiring algorithms would scream me out.
Some bosses couldn't see me as a leader.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
I've been running code as long as I've been able to reach a keyboard.
This is what I do. It's second nature for me, coordinating 100 details at once.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
I sold them on my skills.
You gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
My magic is
analytics and empathy. That's how I get clients. You have to have the confidence in yourself to show up and defy the odds.
I'm more than who I am on paper.
I never got a college degree. And today, I'm the CEO of my own company. People want to tell me I'm one in a million, when actually I'm one of millions. Stars are all around us. It's time for them to shine.
And welcome back. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. You're watching Open. Hope you're having a great time. Our last guest is a director, artist, and producer, and he joins us to speak about his latest film. He's been working on it real hard, had the sleeves rolled up in the whole nine. Called Bottom B, and much more. So please welcome to the show, Joseph Grant. Here he is. Joseph, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Bob. Thank you for having me.
So you've been in this business of ours for a long time. Talk about it.
Yeah, I've been in the business officially, I'd probably say over 20 years in the film business, but I had a magazine about 30 years ago, Indigo, New York. So I've been in the business cursory for about over 30 years.
I remember that magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you're from Trinidad, right?
Originally, I was born in Trinidad. I came to America in 1972. I was 2, and I've been here ever since. We came to the Bedford-Stuyvesant area of Brooklyn.
That's why you still Trinity to the bone.
Yeah.
So good. How did you get into making films?
So as a kid, I've always been interested in art. As far back as I can recall, I've been doodling on things. And the film part about it was like, I used to play with a lot of action figures when I was a kid. I got 11 brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest. And my brothers used to always say, man, you play with them doll babies. But what I was actually doing was using my Superman and Batman and them and creating my own stories. And sometimes I didn't like the clothes they were wearing, so I would make my own uniforms for them. You know, my mother had a sewing machine, so I would sew and create their own outfits. So I stitch it up by hand, and I'd write these little stories and have them acted out. So it was constantly. So that was the prelude to me getting into film.
Yeah.
And then I saw Star Wars in 1977, and I was blown away. And I was just like, whatever that is, that's what I'm doing is nothing compared to what that is, and that's what
I was at a dude ranch when Star Wars came out.
Yeah,
that was the DJ. It was a big function up there and all that stuff. But I remember that. But
right.
So you was laying the groundwork for everything that you were getting ready to do.
Right.
But you didn't know you were laying that groundwork yet, right?
I had no idea what I was doing. I was just I was just doing what God gave me the gift to do, which was create. And I was
Yeah.
just creating and creating. And I didn't know what I was doing until much later on when I got to high school. Then I understood exactly what I was being prepared to get into.
Well, you have another brother out there living in Brooklyn with you that shares my last name. And he's been doing a lot of things. I was in one of his movies, Do the Right Thing.
Okay.
I was one of those riot cops. So
yeah.
You said, yo, I didn't see you wear. I had the riot gear on.
Yeah, this one of them dudes, a little dude, a small filmmaker, a little guy out there named, who shares your name. He's not that big.
Yeah, not that big. But who are some of your biggest influences?
Clearly George Lucas, Steven Spielberg. I really didn't know about Black filmmakers until I started going into high school, and I started getting a little bit more, and I learned about Oscar Micheaux, and I learned about Gordon Parks, and I watched Sweetback for the first time. I might have been about 14, so Melvin Van Peebles, and I started watching what they were doing, and obviously Spike, when he came out with Do the Right Thing, I was in high school, and I was like, man, Black people are doing this too. Like, Spike looked like us. So he was like that dude who was like wearing the clothes we wore and did the things we did. So it actually gave me more of a confidence to go out there and get at it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about this the film that you jumped into. It's called Bottom B.
Right.
And what got you into it? What piqued your interest and what started it all out?
So, growing up in Bedford-Stuyvesant, there's two worlds. We always live in these two worlds, which is the world of that everybody goes through, which is what they consider to be the square world. Then there's the underworld. And I grew up looking at both sides of that. But what intrigued me the most about the underworld was that most of these guys and most of these women were regular people. They were just people with feelings just like everybody else, and they had a story to tell. And in this particular story, I wanted to follow the voice of a 15-year-old girl that was that could have been anything she wanted to be, but because of drugs, her parents forced her into this world of prostitution, and she became the bottom to a lot of different people, but she could have been very well the CEO of any Fortune 500 company because of the way her mind worked. So that's the basis of the story.
And did you complete it yet, or are you still working on it?
So the story takes place from 1968, and it goes all the way to 1984. So it follows her life during this 15-year span. And aside from that, it's all of the things that are taking place during that time. So these are real events that are happening with a fictitious character through the eyes of a fictitious character.
Yeah.
And it happens not above ground, but underground. So the story was written, it started off as a book, a short story that I wrote, and it did very well. And I decided, let me change it and put it into a movie. But then I said, you know what? It's too much to just have in a movie. So it's a mini series. Well, it's not a mini series. It's a series with about 6 different seasons and 8 episodes per season.
Yeah. Is it, what will people take away from it after watching your movie? What do you want them to learn?
I want them to learn that there's a conversation to be had about the people that we throw away. And the people we throw away are the ones that we act like we can turn our backs on and they don't exist, but they're still living. I want them to realize that every minute, whatever you see on that screen, that's happening to some young girl or some young boy. And if we don't like what we're seeing, then we have to change it in reality. And the only way to do that is to put it in your face and say, this is what's happening. There are young boys and girls in the group home that are suffering the same fate right now in 2023, going through the same problems as this young girl did in 1968.
Yeah. Are you working with anybody, collaborating with anybody?
Collaborating, not really. This is a project from Joe Grant to Joe Grant with love.
There you go.
I'm open to collaborate with anyone, but at this moment, it's a project that I started on my own, and I would welcome anyone to jump in. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Ralph McDaniels is definitely working with me on this project. Yeah. He is an executive producer. You'll hear the voice of a particular person on this project as well. I won't say who, but you recognize as soon as you hear it. But yeah, so and a bunch of up and coming new actors that I'm working with, and I wanted to work with new actors because there's a great wealth of talent that's out there that we don't know about, and the only way they can be introduced is unless we, as the filmmakers, introduce them. So I wanted to work with new talent.
Would you like to shout out any of the people working with you? I know you got Shaheem Wilson Lee. He's in there doing some stuff for you.
That's what I said. There's a particular voice that's there. You guys will hear it. You will hear it immediately and know what that voice is. So yes, there's Kenny Williams. There is Ephraim Benton, called him Fetty. There's also there's so many people that off the top of my head.
Dana come to you after we finish. It'll come to you. Oh, I should have hit up.
Dana Watkins is a talent that I use consistently. Anthony Walker, Aria Jones is a newcomer. There's so much beautiful talent in this project, and you guys are going to definitely. It's whatever the title is. It's definitely going to be different than what you think you're going to see.
I have to do a hard rap right here, but what would you tell inspiring people who want to get into the business that you're into?
People who want to get into the business, just do it. Just get into it. Write a script, shoot the script, and don't worry about what anybody says. It's going to be the best, worst movie you ever made, but it's going to be a foundation for you to learn and grow and grow and grow. And 10 years into it, you're going to be probably the best person you ever wanted to see.
Yeah. I asked LL Cool J the same question. He looked at it and said, just do it.
Yeah.
And left it there.
Yeah.
And that means a whole lot, though. Just do all the things that you need to do to make it happen. But listen, you have a website and everything that we can go to get the information that we need?
Yeah, my website is josephcgrantjr.com. That's my name. You can go to my Instagram, Joe's Eyes, JoeZeyez, or I'm on Facebook at, again, my name, Joseph C. Grant Jr. Just Google me and you'll find every information you need.
Joseph Grant, artist, director, producer, bottom big, bada bing, bada bing. Hey, Joseph, thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Barr.
All right.
All right.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's show. I want to thank our guests, you, for joining us, and our viewers for tuning in and checking it all out. You can keep following us on BronxNet TV for continued coverage. I want to thank you for letting me share in this space and time with you. Make sure you keep it right here. We have we have Darren Jaime, we have Kevin Aline, and Rena Valentine for new episodes of Open 2. Always remember this: what you are is God's gift to you. What you make of yourself is your gift to God. To choose your choice, let your choice control the choose. And remember, whether you say you can or you can't, either way, you're right. So say you can. Started from the bottom. Now we're here. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. I'll see you over 107.5 WVLS. I love you all. Peace.